Sponsored by Ocean Wave Cleaning and Restoration.
Meet host, Minervia Akers, legendary interior designer, self-taught artistic designer, and underground stylist. She developed flair for fashion, decor, and beauty at a young age. Now she wants to help you discover your own personal style into a stylish lifestyle through FMA lessons. Meet Fashion Monger Academy, co-host, Pina Cefalo Boatwright, RD. Health coach Pina is a name synonymous with culinary excellence, holistic wellness, and a passion for teaching. As a culinary instructor and registered dietitian, Chef Pina's love for cooking, teaching, and wellness shines through in everything she does. Her holistic approach to health, combined with her culinary creativity and passion for yoga, makes her a truly inspirational figure in the wellness community. Pina's dedication to empowering individuals to lead a healthy lifestyle is a testament to her belief in the transformative power of food, fitness, and connection.
Chef Pina Cefalo Boatwright, celebrated culinary instructor at FMA, brings her signature flair to the creation of Shumai Dumplings, a beloved Asian dish. Known for her innovative approach, Chef Pina elevates the traditional recipe by garnishing edible orchid flowers, transforming the dumplings into both a gastronomic delight and a visual masterpiece. In her vibrant pink kitchen, she reimagines the classic Cantonese delicacy, elevating it with a flourish of edible orchid flowers. These delicate blooms enhance the dish with a burst of color and impart a subtle floral note, making her shumai a feast for the senses.
Dearest FMA students, get ready to be entertained, inspired, and enlightened with FMA lessons.
Hi everyone, we're back with a shumai making episode, and I'm Pina Boatwright, your chef and registered dietitian and co-host of Fashion Monger Academy.
All right.
Hi,
Right,
we're ready.
We're ready. What inspired this meal this evening?
Well, what inspired me was that shumai I love to make. They're very easy to make, number one. So I wanted to be able to share my love of shumai and my love of dim sum.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
dim sum,
That's big.
it's wonderful. It's Chinese tapas. So in all parts of the world we have little small plates, and in China they have dim sum, which means a touch from the heart. And to me that's so touching. So it's like touching the heart.
Yep.
It means like little bites. So dim sum has been around for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Forever. It was a part of tea culture in China. It's really amazing. So it started off with little bites in tea houses. So in particular is where you have these little bites and in the form of dumplings, and it's almost like a complete meal. So I wanted to be able to show a complete meal, you know, cooked in a bamboo steamer, which is so fun and so cool and just looks so aesthetically amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
And then being able to have all these ingredients, so it's a lot of and making a healthy version of shumai. So today we're going to feature a traditional recipe, but it's definitely a healthy version.
Okay. So you said the origin is Asia.
Yes, so origin. So they actually have so China is where the shumai or sumai, and then the English translation is shumai.
Okay.
But sumai is really how most Chinese cultures like pronounce it and they make it. Yes.
Interesting.
And then there's also Japanese shumai. So there's a variation. So,
Yeah.
but being from Italy, I think that it's interesting that what you have is a wonton wrapper. So essentially it's like a Chinese, as I called it, my mom today called me, like, what are you doing? I said, I'm making a Chinese ravioli.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. And it was known as really almost a poor person's
Yes,
meal, right?
absolutely.
Just throw it inside of,
And then it's really fast. You can have it with tea. It's traditionally eaten for breakfast, so it's so you're having a small bite with tea. But I think as far as a shumai, it can be a very complete meal. It has everything. It has some carbs. It has definitely protein. It has vegetables. So what's better than having? And then they're easy to make because you're not having to do the complicated pleating that happens with dumpling making.
Right.
So it's available to all. Once you learn how to stuff, it's an open-faced dumpling. So very different than a closed dumpling where things can explode if you overfill the dumpling. You have a little bit of a disaster. If you're trying to make a soup dumpling, there's more technique. It's a little bit more complicated. And they're just so fun. And they're fun to make. They're easy to make.
Awesome.
You are now watching Fashion Monger Academy. Fashion, style, decor, lifestyle curated show.
From bamboo baskets to elegant plating, Shumai dumplings are traditionally presented with care and attention to detail. Chef Pina's version, adorned with edible orchid flowers, takes this presentation to new heights. Whether garnished with crab roe, green peas, or orchids, the dish is a testament to the artistry and creativity that define her approach to food.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with, first you can have a bamboo steamer. If you don't have a bamboo steamer, they're really affordable. So a bamboo steamer, I bought this on Amazon. I think they run about $20. It's probably one of the best investments you'll make. They're so easy to use, and I love the way that they look. There's something about cooking in a bamboo steamer, especially when you put it on the table.
True.
So
presentation is all.
the key. Presentation. I mean, we eat with our eyes, so you definitely want to make sure that you have something. If you don't have a bamboo steamer, you can use a water bath or a steamer to cook them.
And it makes it look authentic.
Absolutely. And what's better than if you're going to have a girlfriend lunch or some friends over and you just want some again, tapas. So these are Chinese tapas, right? Meaning small bites, small plates. And then if you're just setting this out like a bamboo, just
beautiful.
It looks gorgeous.
Presentation,
Now, a couple of things about this. I'm using a Napa cabbage leaf. Napa cabbage leaf sits flat. You can use parchment paper as well. Parchment paper works really great. I don't think it looks as pretty as the Napa cabbage. The Napa cabbage, you're not going to get a lot of that flavor, but you want the moisture. So with the shumai, you're steaming the dumplings. So it's an open-faced dumpling. You're steaming them. You're using a wrapper, but you just want a little bit of that steam to be able to come through. You also don't want your wrappers to stick together. So you'll notice that once we start to make the shumai, you want them to be separate on your Napa cabbage. So that they're not sticking together. So obviously the Napa cabbage leaf has a lot of water content in here. So as the water comes up, and you'll see it as we do the steaming process, this will start to wilt a little bit, but it will provide a nice little bed for our dumplings to sit on. And it looks so pretty. And of course, as everything, I love things that look pretty. So this is what we're going to use is the Napa cabbage. But if you don't have Napa cabbage and it's an extra expense, you can definitely use parchment paper. It works great. All right, so we're going to set our bamboo steamer aside.
Shumai are a type of Asian dumpling popular in dim sum cuisine. Originating from Cantonese culinary traditions, shumai are typically made with a filling of ground pork and shrimp, seasoned to perfection. In Cantonese cuisine, they are sometimes referred to as pork and mushroom dumplings, reflecting a common variation.
So traditional shumai, of course, you can use all kinds of different meats, and I invite you to definitely play around with the meats. So typical traditional shumai uses ground pork. If you do not eat pork, you don't like pork, you can use ground chicken. But that's a shrimp and pork kind of combination. So we're going to add our pork to the bowl, and then we're going to use some shrimp. So it's usually about a pound of pork, and to a pound of pork you might use, the shrimp is just going to give you, again, deveined, cooked shrimp. So this is our frozen. I used frozen shrimp here. You can use cooked shrimp. You can definitely prepare the shrimp, cook it and devein it, but you need about 5 ounces. So what the shrimp does is adds just a little bit of texture, so you're getting that crunchy texture. Yeah, we're making like a Chinese meatball, essentially. Let's just boil it down, right? And every culture has a meatball, and this is the Chinese version of it. So the shrimp is going to provide a little bit of that sweetness. So the pork, and again, we're building our flavor. So the pork is going to be very, it's going to be a really nice, strong flavor, and then the shrimp is going to add a little balance there with that sweetness, but it's also going to give the crunch.
Okay.
Now, if you did also want to add crunch and another umami flavor, shiitake mushrooms add that delicious kind of like umami flavor. And shiitake mushrooms, what you're going to do is use them dried, and then you want to make sure that you're rehydrating them. So it takes about a good 20 minutes. So if you're preparing this dish, you want to give yourself at least 20 minutes, get these set up, dried, and then rehydrate them in water. Boil in water for 20 minutes, and then you chop them up. And again, it's going to give that little bit of that texture and that wonderful, wonderful flavor. So building our flavor. We're going to chop up our shrimp. And about 5 ounces of shrimp really is all you need here. So let's just say about a half a cup worth, or just a handful. You don't want to overpower it with shrimp. The shrimp is just going to give that like delicate flavor. And everything with the shumai is about balance of flavors. It tastes delicious, it tastes amazing, but you don't want to overpower it. So this is not a shrimp shumai. You can make a shrimp shumai as well.
That's what I would like.
So if you want to just avoid the pork, or just
like
more,
pork. Actually,
or you could do more. But really, this honestly, this is, I'm showing you a traditional.
Yeah, I actually like pork too. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a traditional recipe.
Yeah.
However, you can really create the variety.
Put whatever
you
meat.
can do whatever you
some
want.
people might not want
Yeah.
pork.
So you have your basic flavors, and then you can build on the flavors. So you can. It really doesn't have to be. You're not looking for perfection here. I mean, if you're a traditionalist for dim sum culture, and dim sum is usually like a brunch or a breakfast, really a brunch, and typically something that you would consume with, again with tea, and you're having this for brunch. So when you're having this for brunch, a shumai, this is not going to be the hero. It's not the only thing that you're having.
Yeah,
You're
that's when they have the cart and
They have
wheel it
the
around.
cart, the wheel around, right? It's so fun, and then sometimes it's like a mystery meal. Like, what do you think? But the shumai are typically are going to be that open face. So if you're going to a dim sum restaurant and you see an open face, you may just ask, is that shrimp? And again, and a lot of people, especially being a registered dietitian, I work with tons and tons and tons of students now, but patients who have a lot of food allergies. So that's something to be mindful of. So when you're going to a traditional, Chinese restaurant, there will be definitely a lot of shrimp. So making sure that you're asking about that and you're being cautious.
Traditional ingredients. A classic shumai filling combines ground pork, shrimp, and seasonings such as soy sauce, sesame oil, and rice wine. Variations sometimes include mushrooms, green onions, crab, or other seafood, enhancing the flavor profile. The wrappers are made of thin, white or slightly yellowed dough, often crafted with lye water to achieve a unique texture.
So for ingredients, what we have here is very simple. Again, this is where you can go. There's so many different recipes for shumai, so that there's a lot of different variations. But for a wonton wrapper, you can make your own if you're really quite ambitious. If you are trying to make a quick dish, what you're going to use is a wonton wrapper from the store. So there's lots of different variations and many different recipes that you can follow and that you'll find that are, some will call for eggs, some will call for homemade wrappers. Again, if you have time, it's quite ambitious.
Yes.
To make a homemade wrapper. It is actually quite easy to make, but it requires a couple of steps and some technique.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of making sure that you can make this weekday meal and you've come home, you have all these ingredients, or you want to have a fancy brunch or fancy lunch with your girlfriends or friends or family, just getting a wonton wrapper from the store.
Okay.
Quite easy to do.
Yeah.
And then just lay them out. They're going to be dry, so I'll show you a technique on how to use the wonton wrapper and making sure you separate them and be really careful. But a wonton wrapper, we're going to use scallion for flavor.
Okay.
And for crunch. Our carrots, we're going to use as actually a topping. So I'll show you a few fun toppings that you can do with the shumai so that they look pretty on top. You can also add them to the filling. Carrots are very sweet, so if you want like a sweeter shumai, again, so we have our sweetness here with the shrimp and the carrots.
Oh, I see.
So they're delicious to add. Ginger, of course, everything ginger. We have a little bit of sugar, and then we're going to make a topping or a sauce, and I'll show you a little bit of a wonderful typical sauce that goes with the shumai. So, and then mirin. Mirin is a rice wine. This is also adds a little sweetness. So it's a sweet cooking wine. You don't need a whole lot, about a tablespoon of mirin. The sweet cooking wine, it gives it just, again, that balance of flavor that's delicious. We have our soy sauce, and then most important here is our cornstarch. You'll see that if you're researching shumai, some recipes don't call for cornstarch. A typical shumai may have some cornstarch just to help bind it. So when you have that meat, right, you want to bind it. You want to have that meat kind of come together. Typical, if you ever made meatballs, you know that sometimes you're using an egg or you're using a breading, right, that binds that.
Yeah.
But what you want to do is that this is going to help to texturize the meat. So it softens the meat, it adds that texture, and then it adds that binding. Now, if you're watching any shumai making videos from China and or Japan, you'll see this thing where they're using the meat and they're using that cornstarch, and you're really getting that texture to it. So it's called velveting, but you're using this whole technique. We're going to do a very simple version so that you're not going crazy trying to make this. You can just do this at home.
Okay.
I don't want to add on any extra steps. I want to make this available. And then we have our sesame oil. Sesame oil just adds that wonderful flavor, and really that's it. So in terms of ingredients, we're very simple. We have our shrimp, we have our pork. You can do this with chicken. I've made shumai with chicken. Chicken and ginger. If you're health forward, if you're thinking like, okay, I want to try to keep, again, if this is a dish where you're not really adding a lot of extra carbs, so if you're worried or concerned about the carbs, you're watching something like that, the cornstarch could be omitted. You have some carbs with the cornstarch, especially if you're looking to reduce your glycemic load. I wouldn't add the cornstarch. But we're adding such a small amount.
Yeah.
It's not. But again, this could be something where you don't have to have it, right? You can omit it, but the rest of the ingredients really will balance that flavor out.
And the orchids.
Well, my edible flowers.
Flowers.
Yes, they're gorgeous. Again, it's something that you could have edible flowers. You can also arrange them, right? If you're arranging them, like an edible flower arrangement in the shumai, it's really, really quite beautiful when you're presenting it, right? And now I'll show you how to steam these, and they're really beautiful. But think about edible flowers, think about arrangement, think about spring. This is something where you can start to add. All right, so here we go. What we're going to do is add all of our ingredients. We're going to start off with all of our liquids and then build. So our mirin wine. We can do that. And there's really no order. The only thing I would suggest is making sure that your sesame oil is last.
Okay.
So you want to get your cornstarch in there to tenderize that meat. And then you start working with the cornstarch. You need about a tablespoon for a pound. So this is a pound of pork, so for a pound of meat, you're looking for about a tablespoon. We have also some protein from the shrimp, and that's going to go in. Let's get our shrimp in, our pork in, and then just really start to work that.
Nice. How many dumplings does the pound make?
Oh,
How many would you get out of that?
yeah. So you want to fill. So no, that's a really awesome question, because the wrapper, it's going to be deceiving. You're going to feel like, ooh, it's just like enough. You don't want to overfill the dumpling, right? So with any dumpling making, what you worry about is explosion, right? Because when you overfill it, is when it starts
something I would do.
Right? If you were to have this as a dumpling or a wonton and you're wrapping it, right? You want to have a nice tight seal around it. When you overfill it, it will explode in your basket. Where the shumai is a bit more forgiving, so you want to make sure that you're adding enough of a filling in there, so that your wrapper kind of holds together.
I see.
But I would say you could probably get, so we're going to make about 11 to 12. It's really about the spacing also. So if you think about it, we could probably, we'll see what we have for numbers here, but I think we're going to aim for at least like 10. So 5. You could make, if you're filling it, it all depends on how much you're filling it, right? And then how you wrap it. So you want a smaller shumai or you want a nice big plump one. So you can play around with that too. But,
buy them?
Yeah, you can buy them like frozen. Also, if you're making this, you can freeze them right away and then steam them. Yeah, so it's something that you can make ahead of time, and then you can just freeze them.
Oh, good.
All right, so we're gonna get our shrimp mixed in with our pork, and here we go with our ingredients. So we have our ginger that goes in. We can add our scallion. Now half of the sugar. I'm going to use half of it for our sauce.
Brown
so
sugar?
This is just a cane sugar. Yeah,
Different.
it's just
It's a little grainy.
It's a little bit grainier.
Okay.
Again, it gives a little bit of the crunch, and you'll see that when we make our dipping sauce, we're going to use our rice vinegar, and that will dissolve that sugar. Yeah, just a little bit of that sweetness. I mean, you can use any sugar, really. You don't have to use the brown sugar. You can do a white sugar. All right, and then I'm going to use my soy sauce. And so what you're looking for is really that meat to becomes nice and sticky. So if I was... The stickier the better. It may feel like it's not, because again we have our cornstarch in there to help bind it. So you definitely want to see a nice sticky meat for the filling.
What other ingredient would you use instead of shrimp?
Oh, you could use, yeah. So if you didn't want to use shrimp, you could just do pork alone. You could do scallops. Could be another option.
That's different, yeah.
You could play around with other kinds of seafoods, but scallops would be a nice one. If you're doing chicken, you could do chicken and then just go a little bit extra on the ginger, like a chicken and ginger. You could do shallots. You could have garlic as well, kind of in there. So there's a lot of different variations. Honestly, you're just making a meatball with like those Asian-inspired flavors. So as long as you keep your base with garlic, ginger, scallion. Yeah. Garlic, ginger, scallion is going to be, and soy sauce will be kind of covering your Asian-inspired flavors. Yeah. All right. So in order to get that stickiness, the whole go around getting the meat sticky, you can kind of see here we've got a little bit of that stickiness. If you swirl it around the bowls, you should start to see that stick to the sides of the bowl. That can give you some indication that you're moving in the right direction. Again, if you're handling this, typically what you would take is take the meat and then just basically slap it on one side of the bowl. It's called batting, and then the other side, and then opposite side. You can have some fun with this too. Good to get your aggressions out if you need to, but you can really like take that meat and take it right on the bowl. Right. And you're going to start to see that it's going to start to feel and see that discoloration there. That's okay, right? You want it sticky. When you have a sticky meat, that means that you're going to get that juiciness. It tenderizes the meat, right? That's all intended for its purpose, and it's all good. So, all right. And then last but not least, we're going to add our sesame oil. I'm going to do that last, so that you're going to give that meat an opportunity to tenderize, but without the oil. Now we add that oil.
Shumai dumplings are a timeless celebration of Cantonese cuisine. Their signature appearance, flat tops and ruffled edges, combined with their rich flavors, encapsulate centuries of culinary tradition. Chef Pina's modern interpretation honors this heritage while introducing an innovative twist, making her shumai both a tribute to the past and a gateway to contemporary culinary art.
Does it make it even stickier?
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see kind of our meatball forming, right? And again, we haven't added an egg, but there are definitely some shumai recipes that do call for an egg. We're going to do this eggless, right? Good. So we're just, you can kind of see how now you got that sticky texture.
Oh yeah, now I can see the difference. Great.
All right.
Coming up next.
We're going to stuff these these dumplings, our open-faced dumplings. Here we go with our sticky meat.
Oh, cool,
See?
cool.
How can you tell if it's nice and sticky?
And then it sticks to the board. Well, the bowl.
Yeah, you can start to see a little bit of that color, right? It's sticking to the bowl. And then we're going to use, you can use a spoon, and we're going to take our dumplings. So now our dumpling wrappers have been sitting out for some time, so they're going to be a little dry. So you want to be careful when you're handling your dumpling wrapper.
Okay.
You want to fill it, so get a little tablespoon or just kind of like smear the ends. And then you can make an O-shaped with your fingers, and then that way it keeps to hold the dumpling.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and then there's a couple of different ways you can do this. One, this is like nice and dry here. You can start to just pleat it, move it in, pleat it in.
I would have thought you would have had to kind of give it a bath, the wrapper.
Yeah, so another thing you could do is also just take your little finger and just a little bit of water, so that you're getting the moisture, because that wrapper is dry. So you don't want to take them out of the fridge for too long, because you're going to end up with a dry wrapper. And then you're pleating. And then you want to take your spoon and just flatten that on the top. It sits like kind of in your finger. And then you can take anything that's kind of exposed, and then you want it to sit flat. So when you're putting it into your bamboo steamer, it sits nice and flat.
I see. Cute.
Okay. And then we're just going to go through and just get your wrapper. Make sure you're getting all the edges. And you want to make sure that you're filling it properly though too, because if you underfill it, that wrapper is not going to stick.
I see.
Right? So don't be afraid to kind of use that. This is where the open face is a little bit more forgiving. You can pleat. Tuck it. And then sometimes you may have that topping where you're going to add just a little bit more too. So, and then you can just get it nice and then make sure that you're rounding it so that you have a flat bottom. And then using your pressing, and so you're making a beautiful shaped.
It is.
And it just sits there. So you can see the difference between, you can make some bigger ones and some smaller ones, but don't be afraid to fill.
Yeah, because some can be bigger than others.
Yeah.
Does it cook about the same temperature?
Yep, so yeah, you're going to have it. So once we get our water boiling we do that pleat.
Listen to Roy. He's eating his dinner.
pleat. So here you go. Again, if it's feeling really dry, like that little bit feels a little dry to me, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this, and then just pleat it in. And then make sure you're stuffing. Get those pleats in there.
Looks like a nice bite full.
Yeah, it's just beautiful, right? So if you think about it, you have like a little bit of carbs, you get mostly all that protein in there, right? Great flavors, and then we're going to do some fun stuff with the toppings, and then you can do so many great things with your variations for your sauces too. We're going to make a nice little sauce with this.
So the protein comes from the shrimp and the pork.
Yeah, right. So, and again, if you're doing chicken, let's say you don't eat pork, it's totally fine. You can do a chicken. You can do a lamb, brown lamb. Again, those are going to be like some more. If you're doing a lamb with the mushroom.
Oh, yeah.
If you like mushrooms, not everyone does. But again, those shiitake mushrooms just add so much flavor. You're doing your O shape. You're pleating. You want it to sit. So you want it to sit flat. So it just sits like really beautiful. It's great. Just like a little cushion basically for your meat. That's why it's an open-faced
And the moisture
meatball.
from the meat is helping you fold it a little.
Yeah,
Right?
So it's gonna, because that wrapper has been sitting out
Right.
a little dry, but you're getting that moisture.
Moisture from
And
the
then,
meat.
I think just kind of making sure that you can sit just a little bit of flatten it so that when it sits in your bamboo steamer, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make it pretty. So you probably see at the dim sum restaurants, you'll see some roe, some fish roe, which are, you know, like your little caviar or fish eggs that sit on top. The little crunchy pico could be something that you could crunch. We're gonna top it with some carrots just for the extra sweetness. You can also use a shrimp right on the top, and I'll show you a couple of different variations. Scallion. And it also doesn't have to be perfect. Yes, there is definitely a technique for pleating, but if you're just trying to get this wrapper, and you can see too, my wrapper, I have way more wrapper than I do meat. So if I get to that place where I'm like, oh, can I just, but without making it explode, right? So the goal is you don't want to explode this.
But would it dry out as well? The part
yes, and it dries out, and then it won't adhere. So what you'll notice is that your wrapper will kind of fall apart because it's going to expand as it cooks, right? And then you don't have enough meat filling in there, and you'll find that your wrapper, your dumpling will fall apart. So you want it to kind of like stick together.
I would have thought you would have had to cook the pork first.
Nope.
So this does the cooking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, you're just cooking it right in there.
Okay. Because like meatballs, I think, as far as I know, I thought, was it get fried a little bit first?
Yeah, you can cook meatballs off in the oven first.
Oh, oven. Okay.
You can, or you can actually stick them in the sauce like that too. Not cooking them off. You're just browning them so that they actually have that flavor, and then they taste really good. But this meat in here, see my wrapper is like a little dry here, so just add some water to it. You can actually manipulate it. Yeah, the meatballs, you want to brown them, or you can add them directly to the sauce too. So keeping that O shape is going to give you that ability to use the pleats. And again, if it dries out, like I'm noticing that one's really dry, I don't want it to fall apart. And then I'm going to press down, open it a little bit. Now opening, so you can see how that will fall apart. Yeah, so you don't want that, but you can just. This is where you can use an egg wash too. If you wanted to use an egg wash, but I'm trying to keep the ingredients like simple and not add extra. Right. And not even add extra. Not that the egg is adding that extra calories, but and then you can fill up. So basically, the goal is that you can fill up this entire. And you can also, if you're feeling it like it's really, really dry, just soak it with some water like this. You're gonna have those that are dry, so you don't want to work with a dry. Definitely not. So, especially because I had these out for some time, but here we go. So now I'm going to be able to manipulate that and add my filling. So again, so you just know, get it nice and kind of just smooth in there. And then you might need to be using some more. Get your O shape.
Coming up next.
So now we're ready to top our shumai. So we've got them looking beautiful, and they look great. They're lined in their Napa cabbage. They're in our bamboo steamer, but we want them to look even prettier. So lots of different things you can do. So a traditional shumai with pork and shrimp. Sometimes you'll see the shrimp right on top, which is so nice. We're gonna add some carrots for crunch, and I think what I love to do is being able to have different flavor and different toppings so that it looks really pretty when you're cooking them in the bamboo steamer. So for that one, I have some topped carrots. I can do some scallions and some black sesame seeds. Black sesame seeds look really pretty, just right there on the top. And then you can kind of just go with that, a little bit of scallion. Maybe you do carrots with that, carrot and shrimp on the top. Now let's see, one more with shrimp. Let's do a few with shrimp on top. There we go. And then maybe I'll vary this up. So the toppings, I've seen it with edamame. Typical, your traditional will be your scallion, your shrimp, your carrots. But you can have fun with the topping. Again, you're eating with your eyes with these, right? So you want presentation. And so I'm going to add a little bit of carrots to this, just to kind of give it some color. And so easy to make. You can see here we just have our Chinese our dumpling, open face. There we go. Maybe black sesame seeds on all of them because I think it looks pretty, but you don't have to do that. And there we have it, our shumai ready to steam. So our next process is to steam these in some water, and I'll show you.
Coming up next, shumai are traditionally steamed until the filling is cooked through and the wrappers turn slightly translucent. Their flat tops and ruffled edges are distinctive features, often garnished with crab roe or a green pea for a decorative touch.
All right, so next step is to steam the dumplings. So in your bamboo steamer, the goal here is there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. I'm just using a saute pan, so simple saute pan here. You want to get your water to a roaring boil. You want to have it very much boiling, and then you're placing your bamboo steamer just right on top. So this is my makeshift steamer, but there's lots of different ways that you can do this. I think this just makes a lot of sense because you're just using things that you have at home. There are steaming baskets you can use, so you don't have to use this, but just being able to utilize what you have. You want to create a little bit of separation, so you don't want your bamboo steamer submerged in the water. You want it to be, as you can see here, just you want to give it some distance where it sits right on top of that saute pan. Where now, as the water boils, it's going to come up the chambers into your bamboo steamer, and it will create that condensation and create that cooking environment. So you're steaming these dumplings directly from just your water source, and you'll steam them for about, let's say, 10 to 14 minutes, and that should be enough to cook the meat. You always want to temp your meat, make sure that you're cooking that pork appropriately. But sometimes you can let these go for like 20 minutes, so somewhere between 10 and 14 and 20 at the max. And you'll see them, the meat will start to turn color. It's going to be that cooked pork and that shrimp. It shouldn't take very long. Again, you already have the cooked shrimp in here, so you're really just cooking that. So you can do a single layer. Again, if you were filling up both of these layers, you would layer that up. But with the single layer, I can go ahead and just leave that. Once that water comes to a boil, I place my bamboo steamer on. It's nice and tugged. You can feel it, kind of just sitting right on top. And then you're going to cover it and let it cook. And then you're going to have amazing dumplings ready in between 10 to 20 minutes. While your dumplings are steaming and your shumai are cooking, it's going to take you some time to make a little bit of a sauce. So you can make all kinds of different dipping sauces for this. One that I really love that's so simple to make is a soy sauce and rice vinegar, a little bit of sugar, and you want that nice and spicy. So I have a nice spicy hot pepper. This has been drying. You can use crushed red pepper too. If you don't have that, crushed red pepper works fine. You can use a Thai chili pepper. You can chop that up. So really, if you want a nice spice, you can make sure that you're adding the spice level that you desire. And then scallions. Another option is to top this with some fried shallots. Fried shallots are delicious, super easy to make, so it makes it for a really nice topping for your steamed dumplings. But just to make this sauce, so we're going to add our sugar in first, and for that sugar, the rice vinegar is the key to dissolve that sugar, right? So we're going to use that rice vinegar, and just enough to dissolve. So you need about, you're making a little bit of a dipping sauce. So the whole idea here is that you're not, you can also just use soy sauce too. So if you're like, I don't have time to make this, I love my dumplings with soy sauce, that's totally fine. We're being a little fancy, so we're going to make a little sauce here. So once you start to see that sugar dissolve, the rice vinegar will dissolve your sugar. You want to make sure you're just stirring. I've added some scallion. I have my rice vinegar, and I have my sugar, and that's it. I'm going to chop up my chili pepper and add this to it, and then add my soy sauce, and that is all you need to make this delicious, sweet, spicy, salty sauce. Next step is you're just going to cut dice your fresh red, or this is a chili pepper that I've been drying, so it's quite spicy. You can leave all the seeds in, why not, right? If you're looking for a nice spicy sauce to go with this is something where you're just going to leave the seeds in. If you have a fresh pepper, I usually prefer a fresh pepper, so you're just getting all those great flavors. Dried works just really great. You can see kind of how I have all my seeds in there. I'm just going to throw that into the sauce. And all. Again, if you're sensitive to spice, maybe just de-seed it. Have a fresh pepper and de-seed it. And now you can see here we have our chili pepper. We have and you can see that the sugar is completely dissolved with that vinegar. We have our scallion, and then just top it off with some soy sauce. You have a really amazing, very simple dipping sauce. All that great flavor. Another thing you can add is a hoisin sauce if you wanted to make that. You can add that hoisin sauce that has a lot of great flavor. You can add that to your dumplings and or for a dipping sauce like a hoisin sauce. So I've just made a very simple, easy sauce, and that will taste very, very yummy with your dumplings. The other thing I absolutely love with my dumplings is a Chinese style mustard. This is a Chinese hot mustard. I love everything spicy. If this is not your jam, no problem. But mustard, especially a Chinese mustard with that, just a little bit of the sauce, it just tastes so good. It's definitely something I really enjoy. So, and again, a very easy thing to lay out. So if you're serving, and you know your audience, right? So if you have family members that love spice and that just love that strong flavors, you can definitely go ahead and add a Chinese style mustard, something a little bit sweeter. If you can do it a chili sauce with this too, a sweet and sour chili sauce. And for a little bit of sweetness and spice, so something like a sweet chili sauce. I love this one. That's really, really great. Again, just a little dollop goes a long way. You've got so many amazing flavors. We built up the flavors on the dumpling, so it has a little bit of sweetness. It has just that great texture of flavors and that sweet, juicy meat. So something like a sweet chili sauce, very easy. Again, you don't have time to make a sauce. A Chinese mustard and a sweet chili sauce could do just fine. And again, just a regular old soy sauce, it tastes really great with just soy sauce as well. So you've got a lot of options to make make a nice little dipping sauce with them.
In Chef Pina's hands, shumai dumplings transcend their traditional roots, becoming a canvas for innovation. Her dedication to blending the old with the new, and her ability to inspire through her lessons at FMA, make her rendition of shumai a true celebration of culinary excellence. Whether enjoyed for their exquisite taste or admired for their stunning presentation, her shumai dumplings are a hallmark of fusion cuisine at its finest.
And here we are. Our dumplings are cooked and ready to go. So delicious. I mean, we did talk about adding some edible flowers, right? See how beautiful?
In her pink kitchen, Chef Pina reimagines this classic dish by garnishing edible orchid flowers. The vibrant blooms not only add a burst of color, but also bring a subtle floral note to the dumplings, making the dish a feast for both the eyes and the palate. Her culinary approach exemplifies fusion cuisine, blending tradition with innovation.
So now this basket, you're serving this basket at a table. Now imagine the look, right? They're so authentic.
Yes.
It looks beautiful. Remember, we eat with our eyes, right? So now you're serving this. It looks gorgeous. You have all these different toppings. This is where I would also add maybe some fresh scallion, so you can see how the scallion have cooked down here. Just throw a pop of color on there with some fresh scallion, and you're good to go. And then you can really enjoy it with all your sauces. Amazing. But when you're serving it, I would add your baskets with some, really goes a long way.
Yeah, everything that you can eat, all
right?
edible.
You have your edible garnish. Yeah, it's so great.
Oh my gosh.
Just want to go and...
Oh, it tastes as good as it looks.
So we're going to do a nice little taste test here.
Thank you.
So we have that. Give some either chopsticks if you're not a chopstick loving.
No, I'm not.
So you can go ahead.
You have them.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
So we got some chopsticks, or you can use a fork for sure. So we're adding our sauce. Remember, we have this really nice little dipping sauce, or you can have just the sauce right on top.
I'm gonna pour it in.
Yeah, so amazing. There you go. And then you can also just do this. How beautiful. So if you're plating, again, if you're plating just like a mouche, right? You just want to do like a one, really something splash.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
you're
beautiful.
doing like, let's say you're doing like or courses. This would be a really wonderful course. Here, your dipping sauce is kind of like right there.
Yeah.
It's resting. You can also do like a dashi, miso broth, all kinds of really interesting broths that you can put your dumpling in. And that could be like a first course.
That's true.
Or like an appetizer, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really different ways that you can plate this.
Okay.
The plates look really beautiful.
Yeah.
You can add your spicy Chinese mustard to that.
Chef Pina's FMA lessons guide students through the process of creating shumai dumplings. From crafting the delicate wrappers to perfecting the flavorful filling, her teaching emphasizes both technical precision and artistic presentation. The addition of edible orchids serves as a demonstration of how traditional dishes can be elevated with creativity and thoughtfulness.
So go ahead, dig in.
Okay. Is there a certain way to eat it?
No, so you're to eat it all together, but if you're going to just deconstruct it like that, no problem. Remember, it's like a Chinese people. You can do all kinds of things. Go for it. You should just be able to pick it up and
all right, and put it all in one.
Yeah, but that's okay, right? So you're
like
seeing that.
Conserve my lipstick and things like that.
Yeah. So let's go for it. Good flavor.
Yeah. You gotta try one with the chopsticks.
I think. Wow. Delish.
Delicious. I don't know how Guy does it, but on TV every time, I would talk with my mouth full. It's amazing.
So good.
This is great. She did a great job. This is fantastic.
So enjoy. I hope you recreate this. Make this at home. It's accessible. It's easy. It's healthy. We have tons of so many great
proteins in here.
Yeah, great
and
protein.
And it tastes good. It doesn't seem like you're eating diet food.
No, not diet
it's really
food.
Good.
Absolutely. We eat good
delicious.
food.
Good food.
Yes, amazing food. Delicious.
Yum.
Pina's artistic use of edible orchid flowers transforms the shumai dumplings and mocktails into a visual masterpiece. The orchids are thoughtfully integrated as garnishes to create a stunning presentation, while their delicate taste adds an unexpected layer of sophistication. This technique exemplifies her fusion cuisine approach, blending traditional flavors with innovative ingredients. Coming up next.
For a mocktail, what we can do is if you're using that oolong tea, remember it has so many amazing health benefits, so don't be shy about using it for a mocktail. Again, summer's coming and it makes it really great, so you want to make sure that you steep your tea first, right? So you have your tea. And for your sweetener, if you want to add a sweetener, so honey is a great option, or agave. I prefer honey. Really love a lot of different flavors of honey. You can go with a strong flavor of honey or a lighter flavor. So lots of different options. Honey, again, we're talking about a health benefit. So with this mocktail, you're trying to go with packing the punch nutritionally and all the health benefits. So allergy season is coming, so honey is a really great thing. So make sure that you're using a local honey. It's a great antihistamine, and you have that great polyphenols, all your antioxidants. So make sure that when you're using the sweetener for a mocktail using a tea, always dissolve your honey and or your sweetener, mostly honey. If you're using, you can use sugar as well, but dissolve your sugar in the warm water first. You don't want to make the sin of trying to dissolve a sweetener in a cold solution. So you always want to make sure you have hot water. So you have your tea steeping, add your honey. Honey will dissolve, it will do exactly what it needs to do. It will sweeten that tea for you. Then pour it over some ice. So here we have just a half a cup of tea. Again, you're just doing a single serving of tea. Just some ice. And then you have your mixer and your shaker all ready to go. And from here, you can do all kinds of things with this. So this will be a very strong flavored mocktail, but it's so amazing. So you're thinking health forward, right? So it's a Sunday, you're with friends, you want to make a really great, healthy mocktail. This is kind of the way to go. And just a different way. If you've been drinking oolong tea and you have between 1 and 5 cups a day and you just want to change it up, you know, like I love my oolong tea, but I want to just add some additional flavor, here you go. Add it to your shaker. I think a few different flavors here, but if just some lime juice, you can squeeze a fresh lime. But I would say like 1, 2, 3. Again, lime to taste, so depending on if you like it a little bit more citrusy. Pineapple juice, but this is where you can get kind of crazy with this. You can do guava juice, you can do passion fruit juice. So many different flavors that you can go with here, because oolong, again, you've got that nice strong flavor. So if you want to keep in that strong profile, I would go guava with the passion and just hit it with the punch, right? If you want a milder taste, you can just add about a half a can of pineapple juice. You've got your sweetened tea, honey, pineapple juice, a little bit of citrus. Shake it up. And there we go. Look at that yummy tea mocktail. Enjoy.
Coming up.
So today we're enjoying an oolong tea, a nice cup of oolong tea that's minimally caffeinated. So if you look at just the caffeine meter, so there's lots of different kinds of oolong tea, but this is, again, between a green tea and a black tea sits the oolong tea, which is right kind of in the middle. So a coffee cup has about 100 to 120 grams of caffeine. A black oolong tea has about 30 to 60 grams, and a green tea has about 25 to 50 milligrams. And a decaf, believe it or not, does have a little bit of caffeine, and then an herbal tea has 0 grams. So if you're watching your caffeine intake, this is minimally caffeinated, just a little bit more than that green tea. So again, that black tea will be the highest caffeine. That middle of the road is that oolong tea, and then the green tea. Jasmine green tea, you're going to have that a little bit more caffeine, but again, that's giving you that little bit of that boost. So you're getting that caffeine, but you're not getting that jolt from, let's say, your espresso or multiple cups of coffee, because you're getting all those antioxidants, the polyphenols that live in these teas. And the story of oolong, I think oolong means black dragon. And there's a great funny story about how they were dried, the leaves were dried in, and that's how they discovered the oolong, right? That black dragon, the leaves of the tea actually curl and they dry in the sun. So it's kind of a fun little story, but it's so many great health benefits with not a lot of caffeine. So you're getting a little bit of that. If you do need just a little bit of that stimulant, that caffeine will just help boost your mind. But if you're watching it for cardiovascular reasons, it's not a huge caffeine hit. And then jasmine tea. Jasmine is a flower, so jasmine tea you can actually pair it either with the green tea. You'll see jasmine green, jasmine black tea, or just jasmine herbal. So you're just getting the jasmine flower. It's really quite delicious. Again, both of these have such amazing health benefits, and I try to drink them daily. So let's make a nice cup of oolong tea, and you can make tons of really tremendous amount of mocktails. Tea mocktails are super popular. So if you're making just a cup of tea, you just have your cup of tea, and you want to make sure that you're steeping these teas for at least a good 5 to 7 minutes. I tend to steep them a little bit longer, but if you wanted to turn this into a mocktail, it would be very easy to do so, but just make sure that you're steeping it so you're getting all the health benefits, you're getting all the full flavors, and then you can ice this down. So iced, you probably have seen iced jasmine tea or iced green tea, or cold versions of green tea. Well, in order to do that, you have to steep it first and get it nice and hot, steep it, release all those flavors in the tea bag, right? Remember, all those tea leaves sit in that bag, and when you add that hot water, as you're releasing all the properties and you're releasing all the flavor. So let it steep. That's the whole point of steeping a tea. And then if you did want to ice this down and add it to a mocktail, absolutely fine to do a tea mocktail, just ice it down. Again, summer's coming, iced tea. You can add all your sweetness to this, or just enjoy it without a sweetener. So in order to complete this meal, what I would recommend in all traditional dim sums, you will see tea, right? It's so amazing. And you can take part in an old tradition of not only self-care and healing, but tea is so wonderful for your health and so great. My two choices for today is an oolong tea and a jasmine tea. Both have incredible health benefits. So an oolong tea is kind of somewhere between green tea and black tea. So oolong sits right kind of in the middle, and it's mildly oxidized. So when you have a black tea, the drying out process is completely oxidized. You get all that strong flavors. The green tea, less oxidized. But a oolong tea comes from the same plant that you're making the green tea and the black tea, but it comes with so many great, amazing health benefits. Great for bone density for women, drinking at least 1 cup. So they have a lot of great research studies out there around oolong tea and the use and benefits of oolong tea. So if you're interested, definitely research oolong tea. It has a really amazing flavor, super, super great for your health, cardiovascular health, bone density for women. Even there's some studies that even suggest weight loss, because it helps with both jasmine tea and oolong tea. Helps with lipid metabolism and just increasing your metabolic rate slightly. So those are some really amazing options. And just drinking a cup of tea, again, just the whole art of drinking tea to me is so amazing. It just is so soothing. You're having a warm cup in your hand. You're also feeling the warmth from the tea. Immediately helps to calm down that parasympathetic nervous system, which is that nervous system that's that chill out response in the body. So when you have a cup of tea, you're holding it, it feels warm, it feels comforting, and you're also just getting all those tremendous health benefits. So I would definitely suggest, if you're having this meal and you're making dumplings, always have either a cup of tea while you're making it and during. Again, these were traditionally exactly how they were intended. These Chinese tapas, or the small bites, were intended to be enjoyed with tea. So you're taking part of an old tradition. It's just so amazing and wonderful. Enjoy your tea.
Sponsored by Ocean Wave Cleaning and Restoration.